Tonight, Broken Hill Council considering charging ratepayers to use the dump, and preparations underway in Quorn for the annual music muster.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. Broken Hill City Council has voted to put its draft out for public consultation this week, with one section causing backlash. Locals may have to start paying to use the city's rubbish tip.
After years of a free ride, Broken Hill Council has reached a tipping point. A majority of councillors voted on Tuesday to consider charging locals to use the city's waste facility. If finalised, residents may use the depot without charge 5 times a year before being slugged with a fee for each load after that.
If it's a boot of rubbish, it'll be $5. Just a general 6x4 trailer, $10. If it's a 6x4 heaped trailer, $15.
The plan has been met with trash talk by some, but council says it would be fairer on commercial users who are charged every time they use it.
People sort their waste. Bricks and concrete will achieve a cheaper rate than what you would if you had a truck full of bricks, concrete, and then general waste on top of that.
Mr Nankerville says it'll help operating staff at the depot to monitor users to ensure they meet Environment Protection Agency standards.
Check what's in those loads so that we're first and foremost classifying our waste accordingly so we're not breaching any EPA regulations, which is our main concern.
Those bringing in recyclables, iron, steel or green waste will not be charged.
Anyone who has any feedback or has a better idea of how to do it or wants to discuss the fees, if they can put a public submission in.
The new fees will be reviewed at the June council meeting. Patrick Ryankey, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The next step in the proposed Sleaford desalination plant is underway today, with SA Water conducting marine surveys at the proposed site. The local council says the plant will provide communities with safe and reliable drinking water.
It's the highly anticipated project aiming to future-proof Lower Eyre Peninsula's water supply. The desalination plant is designed to drought-proof communities and farmers.
It will supplement water from the Uley South Basin and just give us security across our region that we're going to have water in the future.
The project was first announced last year with consultations held with local communities and Indigenous groups. It took a step forward this month with SA Water undertaking surveying of the proposed site. The surveys assessing the nearby marine life, helping to outline where the pipes will be located.
Assessments include geological surveys but also fish surveys and water quality surveys that will inform the design, construction and ultimately the operation of the desalination plant.
The $80 million plant will be able to supply up to 3 gigalitres of water to nearby districts. Currently, the area is reliant on water being pumped from the River Murray via the Morgan Whyalla pipeline.
I don't think we want to be reliant on the River Murray for our water supply. And, you know, this does provide some security.
SA Water is aiming to start construction early next year. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A learner driver has been clocked speeding at 166 kilometres an hour near Lee Creek. Police nabbed the 27-year-old driver on Outback Highway yesterday afternoon, travelling nearly 60 k's over the speed limit. He was fined nearly $2,000 and lost his licence for 6 months. The fight for the Bite message has been chanted on the other side of the world, with anti-drilling protesters holding a peaceful paddle out in Norway. A dozen Eyre Peninsula locals travelling to Oslo, joining more than 500 Norwegians in a paddle out. Equinor submitted its environmental plan to the national regulator last month. Once approved, the company plans to start drilling as soon as next year, making it the 14th exploration project to drill in the Great Australian Bight. A new chapel and garden designed to help victims of abuse by religious institutions has opened in the Clare Valley. The sacred space intended to help those regain their trust in the church.
A community desperate to save green space and a retired military chaplain with a dream to heal. It's an unlikely bond which helped create this healing space.
Taken a former church that hasn't been used for quite a long period of time and made it into a place of healing.
Mintaro residents were concerned over the future of the St. Peter's site after the church announced plans to sell it. In a twist of fate, their paths crossed with Joseph Johns, a missionary on a mission to heal the wounds opened by the Royal Commission into Child Abuse.
As a result of doing some research, I discovered that there was no spiritual healing protocol for those who have been damaged by the church.
Mintaro's community then set about its creation.
The church gave us a 5-year promise that the property wouldn't be sold, with a further 5 years if we could continue to show that we were developing an.
And after hard work, they offer a space for quiet reflection.
The purpose for not having your stock standard religious symbols is because they're connected to places where people may have been abused.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, Whyalla Charities receive thousands in donations and preparations underway in Quorn for this year's Music Muster. Welcome back. Christmas has come early for Whyalla community groups today. Organisers of last year's Carols by Candlelight donated the proceeds raised on the night to 4 different local charities.
Christmas is a time of sharing, and the Carols in the Park event is the gift that keeps on giving.
Community coming together to give money to these worthy local causes is just a way that we can give back.
Each year, the Carols event committee select worthy local causes. Today, they've been awarded up to $1,000 in donations from last year's event.
And we just look at who's been out there doing really good things in the community that might just need that little bit of extra support.
The RSPCA, Whyalla Pink Spirits, Whyalla Heartbeats and Whyalla Road Safety Centre with this year's lucky recipients.
We can't thank the committee of the Carols enough.
We'll use it for things such as enrichment for the animals, buying jackets to keep the dogs warm in winter, and general maintenance around the shelter.
And although Christmas is still 6 months away, Carols in the Park organisers encourage the community to think about joining this year's event with information found online.
It's a really special concert on the night, but it's just something that we can really, help contribute back to as well.
Shari Ham, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Whyalla's cuttlefish season is approaching, with the community excited for the events on the table for 2019. There'll be supervised snorkel dives at Stony Point, along with a host of activities, art and information sessions. The official opening ceremony will be on June 1st at the Whyalla foreshore. Tourists are encouraged to visit and take part in the unique experience. More information can be found at Council's website. Real estate auctions in the Upper Spencer Gulf will enter a new era on Saturday with the introduction of online bidding. Ray White will be auctioning off 3 properties in Whyalla and 4 properties in Port Augusta. Using the app Gavel, home buyers will be able to live stream the auction as well as place bids.
So you can register to bid and you can actually bid online for the property. So it's going to be a regional first.
Ray White says this method of purchasing real estate is growing in popularity across the country. Wallaroo will soon be home to a microbrewery and distillery, with a building on Owen Terrace currently being renovated. York Peninsula Tourism say it'll be a welcome addition to the region.
YP is experiencing its own microbrewery boom, and the owners of CU Wallaroo are hoping to up the ante with the reopening of the Elands Bonden store.
York Peninsula is just such a beautiful spot and it just was missing that little thing. We saw this building here and we thought, wow, wouldn't that be fantastic?
The building has an interesting history. Originally built in the 1860s as a one-stop shop for wine, spirits and ales.
160 years ago they were bringing in kegs of whiskey, kegs of gin. To bring that back is just amazing.
Derek and Nicole Matthewman are revisiting the past with a microbrewery, distillery and restaurant using local produce to create something uniquely YP.
Some of the best barley in basically the world here in York Peninsula, and we want to be able to bring that off a farm.
They hope to tap into the growing beverage market, which has seen a number pop up in the region. Local tourist operators excited about the potential for food and beverage trails.
We've had some consumer research done very recently, and that's shown that what people are really wanting is some new food and beverage experiences on the Yorke Peninsula.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Golf News.
I think I'll be visiting that in the near future. Musicians from all over Australia have begun arriving in Quorn ahead of this weekend's Country Music Muster. Organisers are expecting upwards of 500 people through the gates.
They come from far and wide.
Just about every state of Australia we've got an artist from.
All for the love of country music. Organisers of the Quorn Music Festival fine-tuning preparations ahead of its 5th year.
It's gone very quick actually, and we're building up every year, and with the crowd-wise and whatever, and artists.
The 4-day program is set to feature performances at a number of venues, including the racetrack as well as in town. Hailing from north central Victoria, singer-songwriter Cheryl Lethleen is one of many artists preparing to step up to the mic.
It's the country music crowd that, get us in, because that's where you get everybody getting together.
All artists taking to the stage free of charge, with proceeds raised to be donated to charity.
We look after the Royal Flying Doctor and Cancer Foundation.
Ticket sales exceeded 500 last year, and those involved are hoping to strike a similar chord this year. The action begins tonight at the Quorn Bowls Club. Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Our fishing experts will update us on what's biting in the Gulf, and Louise will have the weekend weather forecast. Hello again. Students from across Whyalla had a chance to learn more about life after school at a career expo. Local professionals gave up their time to help the next generation map out their future careers.
An interactive day full of possibilities for the future. Students communicating with industry professionals, gathering information on their options after graduating.
Attend the Career Expo with about 35 stall holders, and that's all from higher education through to local providers that they can get employment with.
The expo is held annually at Air High, with other schools hopping on board.
Great is we've got some schools from outside of the Whyalla community coming as well, so it's building some traction.
Universities were giving students an insight into life studying, while tradies were giving hands-on advice. Students say they're grateful for this expo to help guide them.
I've talked to a police officer and I've talked to a nurse, and I found out different things, and I asked about TAFE and uni, and some of them didn't really need it, and there's different opportunities, and I found out a lot of stuff.
Really opened my eyes to everything out there and helped with what I want to be and the pathway I can take.
And teachers say it's okay for students to still be undecided about their future.
They're not sure what they want to do post-school. That is totally okay. It's about having options and being able to graduate from school with employability skills.
Shari Ham, 7 Spencer Golf News.
It's now time to catch up with our fishing experts and see what's biting in the Gulf.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, standard report, squid down along the shacks and out in the middle banks. There's some nice salmon up around Port Patterson down at Chinaman's Creek. King George whiting are pretty good, but there is the slime there which is hampering efforts. Star performer at the moment though is right up here in the harbour over on the east side on the pontoon. Getting some nice salmon in there, slimy mackerel, and also some whiting and salmon as well. So that's well worth going there and chucking a line in. And that's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
G'day, welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Lincoln. Starting up around Tumby Bay, there's not a lot of news this week, but there should be a few squid off the town jetty, a few flathead off the beaches there, and a few salmon trout in the Second Creek area. Moving down to Port Lincoln, squid have probably been the most reliable catch around the bay. There's also been a few whiting around the town at the moment. Moving down along the south coast, there's been some really good schools of salmon. That's about it for this week. We'll see you again next week.
Hi, Whyallah's fishing report this week. There has still again been some great numbers of squid and whiting coming down towards the Mount Young grounds just south of Whyalla. Around the 2 to 4 metre depth has been the best areas for the squid, and the whiting have pretty much been across the same patches around the same areas. A little bit further out east towards the Eastern Shoal, there's been some really nice King George whiting coming in from up top of the shoal there, and again some nice squid up there too. For the snapper, there's been a few fish caught in the past week, even with the slow tides. There's been some nice fish caught from the Eastern Shoal grounds, and again out front of Mount Young in the deeper water, and again land-based out Point Lowly. There's been some great salmon on either side of the Whyalla Lighthouse.
Now, the cold weather usually signifies out with the yellowfin and in with the King George, but yellowfin whiting from Talawi Beach, Roona Island area, and right through to Port Broughton are on the way at the moment. Salmon are also amongst them, so make sure that you get yourself a couple of kids to go out with them, because salmon are great to catch. King George whiting are appearing in the normal spaces at the Third Creek patches and whatnot, and believe it or not, you can still get a feed of blue swimming crab.
Weather time now. Here's Louise Hedger.
Good evening. It was another fine and sunny day, but that won't last much longer. There's rain on the way. Plenty of sun around today though. Port Augusta reaching 23 degrees, while at Port Pirie and Port Lincoln 21. Broken Hill 19 and Adelaide was sunny and 21 degrees. On the satellite, there's patchy cloud in the north of South Australia, but skies are otherwise clear thanks to a high. On the waters, north to northeast winds reaching 15 knots with seas to a metre. And the sun will rise just after 7:10 tomorrow morning, with sunset just after 5:30. Dry and warm conditions tomorrow, but the clouds will be rolling in. Port Augusta is set for a top of 25 degrees. Whyalla and Port Lincoln 23, Broken Hill cloudy and 22, Port Pirie 24 and Adelaide some patchy cloud and 22 degrees. Looking at the next 4 days now, and it'll be rain in Port Lincoln on Saturday and Sunday before clearing up on Monday. Similar conditions in Cleve, 22 on Saturday, 18 on Sunday before partly sunny conditions on Monday. There's a bit of rain coming for Woodner over the weekend. Whyalla will be partly cloudy and 23 Saturday before some showers on Sunday and Monday. Port Augusta will hit 26 by Sunday before a cool change and some rain, while Kadina can expect a wet weekend. It's cloudy in Port Pirie until Sunday with rain and a top of 19 degrees forecast. It'll be a tad chilly in Clare, 17 and rain predicted for Sunday, and Broken Hill will be dry and cloudy. So John, it's looking like a great weekend for staying indoors. Back to you.
Sounds like a great weekend for a glass of red wine, putting the fire on and doing absolutely nothing. Thanks, Louise. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. I'll have some updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.